Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Karen from Tiny Gold Hanger, and today I have a special guest with me, Lori Tata, who is one of my favorite people on YouTube. She was also a stay-at-home mother for most of her kids' lives and everything, just like me, and that's why I admire her so much. So, Lori, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, since there may be some of my subscribers that don't know about you yet.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's an honor to be here. So I was a stay-at-home mom for just about 20 years before I started my reselling career, I guess. I had dabbled in reselling a little bit prior to doing this full time, or even like part time when I decided this is what I was going to do. And I think what catapulted me in is I had been like a dance mom for a few years, for several years. And my daughter started like her sophomore year in high school and decided to quit. And I was working at the dance studio. I was working part time at American Girl. But by trade, I got my master's in education. I'm actually a special ed teacher, but I only
Oh,
taught for 4 years. And then I came home with my kids. I have 3 children. My oldest is 22, and he's actually moving out today to move to Pittsburgh for his first job. So that's crazy. So I started in August of 2018 after my daughter quit dance, and I kind of found myself not knowing what to do with my time because I wasn't working at the dance studio anymore. And my dance family was a huge part of my life. I had been at American Girl on and off for 10 years, a total of 8 years. And I just needed to find something for myself because I kind of felt that empty nest coming really fast. And didn't really know what the future looked like for me as a person without my kids. And so I started reselling because I had sold on eBay part time, but I had no idea about the reselling community. I didn't know it existed. And a woman I worked with at American Girl was moving to Pennsylvania as well to work full time as a reseller. And I never really heard it called reselling or anything. And so she kind of gave me a few links into the community, and I started watching YouTube videos and Instagram, and then tapped into the community. And then I've kind of just been full speed ahead since then. So this August will be 3 years. And then I started my YouTube channel January of 2019.
wow.
And so it's just 2 years on YouTube in this past January. And yeah, now I do this full time, and I can't imagine my life without it. I wish I had started sooner, but this was the right season of my life for me. I don't know that I could have given it as much attention as I give it now. So it's been a blessing, and it's been so nice to meet people like you, Karen, and people in the community who are so nice. And yeah, it's been a wild ride. I could have never predicted this in a million years, but I'm happy I'm here.
So, who were the first people that you watched on YouTube doing reselling when you first started watching them? Do you
Um,
remember?
So big time Empty Hanger, Jenna from
Okay.
Empty Hanger. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jenna
Oh, yeah.
because she's not on YouTube so much anymore, but I think everybody knows Jenna. I think once if you type in reselling, one of her videos pops up. And Savannah from Street Savvy. I
I've
don't know if
seen
you know
her, just
Savannah.
can't
She's in
place her right now.
Colorado, and she used to have these crazy bins hauls. Like I really liked her style, and she was no frills, but she would do like hour and 20-minute videos from the bins in Colorado, and she would find crazy brands. And for real, I would refresh YouTube and just be upset if like she didn't upload a video because I just love them so much. And then early up, a little bit past that, I started watching Common Tags, who's now a good friend, Courtney at Common Tags. And yeah, those were probably the big three in the beginning. Yeah.
I think I watched you and Mogi Beth for the first little while, and then got into bin pickers for a little bit. But the only ones that I've really stayed watching was you and the bin pickers. Because
Thank you.
I love like the stuff that Mogi Beth does, but I feel like she has a very different like business model kind of than I do, and so I felt like it wasn't as helpful as I thought it would be. But
Yeah, I mean, I think Mogi specializes in like high-end brands and like she has her Bolo list and she's very, I mean, she's young. Like I always say, I kind of feel
Yeah,
like I'm on the back nine of the golf course, you know? And
exactly.
so it's not that I'm not ambitious, but I am not here to grow an empire like I think Mogi is, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, I think young people, they want the warehouse and they want, certain people do. And Mogi is one of those with very business background, and I think she's at this stage of the game, I think she's a lot of liquidation
Hmm.
and wholesale stuff. And she has a staff of people working for her. And I think the average reseller starts out probably like you and I did, where, you know, we're looking for a side hustle and maybe something to occupy our time as we get a little bit older, as our kids get older, or as our career changes. So yeah, I can see why it's just a little bit of a different business model. And the bin pickers are just so lovely.
They
I
are.
love Michelle and G so much. And I heard they are not doing YouTube for a while. I think they took a
Oh,
step
really?
back, which makes me so sad. But yeah, I love the bin pickers and they're just so down to earth. And I love
Yeah.
watching people who don't necessarily have access to really high end brands who make it work, because I think that's more the majority. And people who have access to high end brands are a little bit more of the exception. You know, people who live, I feel like I'm lucky because I live near a city, but not everybody does. So,
Yeah, I mean, I live like it's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes to Salt Lake to the bins location there. And so that's where I would go most of the time, although I've kind of branched out a lot and go to like estate sales and like one off like thrift shops just randomly and
yeah.
yard sales now, although the last couple weekends I didn't go because it was just so stiflingly hot that
Ooh.
I couldn't even stomach it because it was like 107 on one of those days, which is it was like
That
an
is crazy
all-time
heat.
high. And I
That
was,
is crazy.
yeah, I went outside and I was like, not going back out.
I'm going to go in and work on that death pile.
I'm gonna go
I've been
hibernate.
struggling with yard sales lately and I absolutely love them, but I feel like I do a lot of driving around to like
Yeah,
find one that might be good. You know, like the prices are generally good, but then for me, it's more finding the good ones. And, you know, whether or not they'll be worth my while, I don't know. So now I find that I kind of have a thrift store destination in mind. And if I happen to pass a yard sale, I'm really excited and I'll pull
yeah.
over. But I don't kind of set my day out to just yard sale because I've struggled with them a little bit.
There's some people like I'm not sure exactly where she lives around me, but on YouTube, Hustle at Home Mom.
Love her.
She
Ashley.
I'm pretty sure she lives close to where I am, but I'm not positive because I've seen her in some areas that look exactly like just down the street. But
Mm-hmm.
I see her go yard sailing and the stuff she finds and everything, and I'm like, where are you going?
Yeah, and yard sales are her jam. I think she wrote
Yeah.
like a book, like I think she's got an
Yes.
Amazon guide,
It's
or
like an
maybe
ebook
not
or
Amazon,
something.
but she sells like a guide to yard sailing,
Yeah.
because she does so much of it, which I love watching her. She's got a great channel.
Yeah, I she talked about on one of her videos about doing a process like how she does all of this research figuring out which ones to go to, and I was like, okay, I need to try that out. And I tried doing that and I was less successful doing it that way than I
Then
normally
just
am.
getting in your car and driving.
Yeah, so I was like, well, maybe that works for her, but maybe I'm just more instinctive in certain ways, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not sure what her process is, but like, do you have the yard sale app? That's
Yes.
it's been a blessing and a curse for me because I will look at that app and see where the yard sales are in relation to where I live, and I'll kind of set off.
Mhm.
And sometimes I get there and it's a complete bust, and they make it look so great. I used
Mhm.
to look on Craigslist. Um, I have the best luck with rummage sales, like church rummage sales that are local, and we used to have so many before COVID. And there were certain ones I would wait for. They would have a rummage sale in the fall and they would have one in the spring. It was usually like October and May. Those were like my absolute favorites. And there were a few that I would hit. Um, just because you have so much inventory in one place, it would be a collection of things and donations that were great. But yeah, the yard sale thing, I absolutely love yard sales. That's kind of was my first taste of, thrifting. I grew up with a mom who we spent our summers in Maine, and our big days would be going to the flea market in Scarborough, Maine.
Oh,
And
fun.
I would bring money up, not for souvenirs, but for the flea market, because we would spend hours there in the heat. And it was just my mom. My mom was like the master of like finding junk and making it look beautiful. So that's kind of where I started, was with yard sales. So I still love it. I just think they're harder for me recently.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up doing like yard sailing and stuff like that too, but I think my mom bought the wrong stuff. And so eventually at the end of the summer, we would have our own yard sale, and like 80% of it would be stuff she bought from other yard sales. And my dad's like, "Why did you buy that? It's just been in the
That's really
garage."
funny. Excuse me, that's so cute. I love
Like,
it.
well,
Well,
she got
I'm
the
sure
money
I've had
back.
quite a few of those. I think though, when you're at yard sales, sometimes I remember being with my kids, they would buy something when they were little, and I knew I would be donating it in two
Yep.
weeks, but like it kept them happy so that I could shop. And
Yep.
so I'd be like, absolutely, you can have that costume with the broken mask and
Yeah.
whatever it was they wanted. And it would be like something they'd carry with them in the car or whatever. And I was like, as long as it keeps you happy, I'll donate it in a couple of weeks. It would
Yeah.
just buy me time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So where do you find that oop, I'm sorry. My phone just like started playing a video randomly.
No problem.
So when you first started out, where did you source as opposed to right now, and what do you think, how has that all kind of changed in the process and everything for you?
Hmm. That's a good question. I feel like I source in similar places, but I feel like I'm looking for different things now. I think when
Mm-hmm.
my very first adventure out, when I decided I was going to start reselling, I did a huge. I shopped a ton at the yellow sale at TJ Maxx, which I feel like isn't the same as it used to be. I feel like everybody knows about it now, and it's
Yeah.
only been 3 years, but I feel like 3 years ago, I got some really amazing things. So I started in August, so it was like yellow tag time. That was a huge place that I went to at first. I still do it, but I still shop at TJ Maxx for a little bit of retail arbitrage, but I find that a lot of the yellow tag stuff is saturated stuff or things that aren't really selling anyway. So I leave a lot of it behind. And I'll go to the regular section more often now and pick up things, once I run comps to see how they are. But retail arbitrage is not my big thing. And I shopped more on style in the beginning. I had a good
Yeah.
understanding of brands, but I think they were kind of the basic brands. Um, and I remember I still have things in my closet now from that things that I bought 3 years ago. And I was like, this is so cute. And it was so cute. And it is still so cute, but it's just not a brand that anybody recognized. And so those were some of the bad buys I made in the beginning. And also when I would go to the bins, maybe inspired from Street Savvy by the amount that she would get. And I would just come home with so much. And I felt like I could save everything. Oh, it's just a little stain. Oh, I'll stitch that. And I think a lot of resellers say this, how in the beginning, you buy a lot of flawed items and then they sit in your death pile, or you just never
Exactly.
get around to listing them. And so at some point I just cut my losses, and my husband would say, Lori, you got it at the bins. You paid 90 cents for it. Just donate it.
Yeah,
Just let
let
it
it
go. Cut
go.
your losses. Let it go. It's hard for me. So
Yep.
yeah, and I have tried to source a little bit more towards Boston now. I have a few shops that I hit that I talk about my hauls a lot in my videos, and I did share where I was shopping at one point, but I don't talk about the name anymore. Two shops in particular, because I feel like they're just like I always, if people ask, I say, if you really want to know, you can go back in my videos and see it. I've shared it before, but I've just found that a lot of my stuff from these two stores in particular have been selling really well, and so I keep going back there. I shop less at Savers now because I feel like their prices have gone up. I
Yeah.
really only shop there when I have a coupon. So I think I've just gotten smarter. I think I shop at the same places. I'm just much more selective about when I shop there and what I pick up.
Yeah, like when I go to the Savers, because we're like the only apartment buildings in like a big area in my city, and just surrounded by these like $1 million houses. So we're like the odd people out, kind of.
Yeah, it's a good
And
place to be though for thrifting.
exactly. So I'll go to the Savers every once in a while when I mean, it's usually an off day or whatever. I don't want to go to Uptown Cheapskate. It's like 2 blocks away, and I don't want to go to the bins because it's like an all day kind of process because
Yeah.
it takes me
The bins
25
are
minutes to get
exhausting. I
there.
mean, they're
Yes.
phenomenal, but it's a commitment. And when you get home, it's a lot more work when you get home as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then every single time I get home, I have to go in and straight to the shower and take a shower because I'm like, I'm covered in dust and goodness knows what else.
What else, right?
Yeah, like gunk
That's
under your
what I mean by
nails.
more work, because you come home and it's like I have to process everything, the spreadsheets, it's usually more items than I would get at a typical thrift store. I have to wash everything, I have to wash
Yeah.
myself. I have like it is a
Hmm.
process. And then I'm exhausted. Even 3 years later, I'm like, I'm too old for this sometimes. I think, but
Yeah.
3 years ago I had more energy for it. And I don't know if I don't know what the situation is now, but I don't have the same stamina as I had for the bins in the beginning.
Yeah, and like last week when I went and I did the behind the scenes video, it was really weird because I'm used to going there and spending like 3, 4 hours and coming home with like all of this stuff, and I left with like four things
How
because
was that experience?
it it was really cool, really cool. Like they do so much recycling things, and like there's one thing they told me about which was in the video, and I'm probably gonna go to this place and do a video of that because it looks so much fun. It's this business in Salt Lake called Smash It, and they buy anything that's glass from the bins by the pound, and all of their electronics that either didn't sell or are not working, and you
Yeah.
can go to this place and buy it there by the pound and just smash it and just like get out your frustration
Like,
and
oh,
stuff.
it's like, oh my gosh, like therapeutic smash
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, so if you look it up, Smash It Salt Lake City, and I even watched this one, they have a one room where it's just glass, and it has this wall, and then beyond the wall is this huge space that has stuff spray painted all over the walls, and one end of the wall is a spray painted version of Biden, and the other side is Trump. Which I thought was humorous, and
That is so funny.
yeah, and then you have these big totes of like glass bottles, and you just throw them as hard as you can, and they even like sweep up all the broken glass afterwards and recycle that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up. That's really funny.
yeah, I'm totally going there
You
because
have to go.
yeah.
I want to see that.
I've heard that there's places like that, and I was telling my little sister about it because she lived in Texas too, and she's like, "Yeah, there's a place like that in Texas." I'm like, "Geez,
Wow.
maybe more
Well,
people should do
it's one way
that."
to get your aggression out. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely gonna be going there and like posting a video as kind of like an extension of that video. I think I might. Um, some of the people have asked, like what kind of charities and stuff that they support, or like monetarily and stuff in the area, and so that's one thing I'm gonna be asking them about because a lot of people give Goodwill like a lot of negative feedback and everything. And so I wanted to kind of bring some more positivity to it instead of all the negativity you seem to get.
I
Like,
like that. I have a good friend whose mother has worked for Goodwill for a long time, and she's pretty sensitive to all the bad press that Goodwill receives. And so I make it a point to not bash even Savers prices. I know my local Savers donates money to epilepsy, but I
yeah,
to the Epilepsy Foundation, but they are a for-profit organization. But I think when people get super upset about prices being raised and whatnot, I always say, or at least I think I've said it a couple times, it's not Goodwill or Savers responsibility to be our
Yeah,
warehouse. Like
exactly.
they are not in business for us.
Yeah.
So it's up to the reseller to get creative, to, do your due diligence and figure out where the sales are,
And do
know how to work the
research.
system as far as like, well,
Yeah.
this is a coupon day, or if I make a donation, I get a coupon, or, like I don't know. Yes. Is it a lot of money? Yes. Some of the prices are very, very high, but they're still, I mean, in most 90% of the time, I would venture to say, you're still saving money over retail. I mean, some stuff is ridiculous, but everybody's
Yeah.
trying to make money.
Well, and they can't know every brand. That's the other thing too, is the more educated you are about quality of materials and different higher end brands and stuff, the more chance you have of finding the good stuff that they may not have a clue about, because they're just used to like marking up Lucky Brand jeans and Navy
Exactly.
and Old Gap and or
Sometimes
Old
I'm
Gap.
grateful that they're marking up Lucky Brand jeans, because then it gives me the opportunity. I mean, I found a pair of Reformation jeans for the first time, and they were 4.79 at Savers, and I had it was a 30% off coupon or 20% off coupon that day. I think it was Memorial Day sale, so it was 30% off. Right next to the Lucky Brand jeans marked at 16.99, and I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, I kind of like it. It's a bit of an adventure, like trying to figure out the loopholes and knowing your thrift store and what they price high. Like the place that I don't really share the name for, they price their dresses at $8.99 standard. And if they're fancy dresses, they're $14.99, which is on the higher side for this store. But leggings are $3.99 standard, and shorts are $3.49. So when I go there, I source shorts and sweaters are $5.49. I just don't really source dresses there because I know they're a little bit higher
Yeah.
priced at this store. So like you just get to know the stores and you plan your shopping accordingly, and that comes with time and experience. And I think sometimes when people get into reselling, they think that it's easy. And it's
No.
simple. It's a simple concept, but it's not easy. It's really hard. It's grunt work. I mean, and I think for every really great find that we share on social media, there's like 10 bread and butter things that, we've washed, dried, measured, photographed, purchased, packaged, shipped. It's a lot of time involved to do
Yeah.
what we do. So it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I've been trying to do is the inventory system, because I know you just barely redid yours, and I was like, oh, I got to do that because
Mm.
something will sell and I will have had it for months and months and months, just older stuff that I had like in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and then I'll go to find it and it's not there. And I'm like, I have to go out and I have a garage that's two buildings over, and it doesn't have air conditioning. And so, with how hot it's been lately, like I was in there for 2.5 hours a few days ago,
Ooh.
redoing the shoes and doing like laminated number tags for each of them on the USPS boxes so that I can put in the listing the number it is and just go in there, grab it, pull the number off, and reuse the number.
I
And
like
I got like halfway through them and I was like, that's it. I think I'm going to have heat exhaustion.
Oh my gosh.
It's time to go
Yeah.
back in the house. Yeah.
Inventory is tough. And even like my new system, as much as I love it, there's just a new bottleneck now. And
Yeah.
that is taking the photographs before I put them into you scan the photo and you do a little description and pop it in, which takes 30 seconds.
But
But
it adds up.
before I would be like, oh, this is my shirt bin. And I would fold it, put it in, and just pop it in the shirt bin. And now it's two more steps. And so now I have a pile of inventory that, still needs to get processed because I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid to put it in the bin because it's not. So it's always work, even when it's organized, but at least there's a system now. But I feel like every system still has a little bit of a bottleneck.
Yeah. I finally got to the point where I wised up, and instead of getting the bins, the Sterilite bins that I have everything stored in like an alphabet system, my boys would bring them into the house and I'd fill the rest of the room up in them and they'd take them back out. And then one day I was like, why are we bringing them up and down? Why don't I just put everything in an IKEA bag and take it to the garage and then put them in the inventory in the spaces they'll fit and put the letter of the bin
Oh, when
inside the
you're there.
listing. And they're like, so we were bringing these up and down the stairs all this time for no reason. I'm like,
It's funny the things that you'll repeatedly do over and over, and then you figure out a way to make the system better, and you think, why did I
yeah,
not do this a long time ago?
yeah, like why wasn't that obvious to me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
much.
tricky. And for me, I don't know about for you, but like I have haul videos too, so that messes up my flow of things as well. I know some resellers who they get everything listed before they do their haul. I know
Yeah.
people who, the second they come in the house, they're pulling dirty, hairy things. And I've done this too. And sometimes I think I should go back to this. Like, I don't care what the condition is, just show it so that you can start processing it and you know that it's already been filmed. And then
Yes.
because I have a tendency to come in and I'm really good about entering stuff in my spreadsheet, so I know exactly what I bought. But then from there, I'll have stuff that's new with tags. So, well, I can photograph this right away. Oh, but this I need to wash. So then I have a wash pile. This I'm going to send to the Real. And I start like divvying things up right away. And then I go to do my haul video and the stuff is like all spread out and I'm collecting it all. And it's just creating more work. So sometimes I wish I just like it to look nice sometimes. Like speaking of Mogi Beth, like she always has like the beautiful rack in back of her. Like that is
Yes.
just not real life for me.
No.
And I mean, I don't know. And then, you can pull it out of I think there's some excitement too when you see people pulling things out of a bag. Like you don't know what's coming next and they don't necessarily know. So that's kind of fun too. But that throws off my workflow because I have to implement the haul there. And inevitably, I'll like package something up and then I'll do my haul video and say, oh my gosh, I already put that in inventory. So yeah,
Yeah.
so sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, sometimes it works out for me. And big hauls usually are the struggle because they're just bulky and I want to start listing them right away, or my sister will come and start taking photographs. But like now I have those big Hulkin bags.
Mm-hmm.
And so once my assistant like photographs them or I photograph them, whoever gets to them first will fold them and like put them into a Hulkin bag if it hasn't been hauled yet. And then I just pull the Hulkin bag upstairs to do my haul. And then what I've been doing is sitting right in my office and putting stuff in my inventory bags so that when I go downstairs, they're just all packaged.
Wow.
Otherwise, I'm bringing them downstairs. It's another pile. And before I get to them,
Hmm.
then it's like, how many times are you going to move the piles and touch them before they get put in inventory?
Yeah, I think if I was to, and it's different for everybody because we all have a different train of thinking, but um, I do have to do it like right away. This as soon as I can do the video when I get the haul. Most of the time I don't even take the stuff out of the bags at all. I just bring it in, put it in a corner, and just start doing it because I feel like it's more like it's very aesthetically pleasing the way that Mogi Beth does it, and it's so pretty, but I'm just not that organized.
I'm not either. I'm
I
not
I
either.
just I couldn't be because there's too many people in my house. There's too much stuff to do, and I just don't have the time to do it that way. So they all go in the corner, and then usually within a day or so, I do the haul video, and after that, I do make like the piles of things that have to get washed, and then the other items I do in other piles of like items that have to be flat laid, items that have to just hang up on the wall because I don't have a male mannequin, and then ones that can go on my female mannequin. So they're in like groups. So I'll
Wow.
do batches of photographs, all the mannequin photographs, all the men's photographs, all the flat lay ones, all that kind of stuff. So it seems to make it a little simpler for me if I do it that way. I can kind of grasp it a little bit better mentally because
That's interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that actually does make a lot of sense. And I think for me, sometimes, even if I'm in the mood to do a video, like I haven't showered that day, or like
Mhm.
I just get home from the bins, there's no way I can shoot a video when I'm home from the bins. Like, I mean,
Your
I,
hair is
I
all
don't know, I
crazy.
could, but I just would, I don't know, like I don't always like get done up for videos, but I feel like I usually do try to put myself together a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tricky finding a system that works.
Yeah. Like I mean, I usually like I'll do my hair and put on makeup and stuff to do videos because otherwise I just like I'm a tired mess.
Hmm.
Because I never,
I
well,
feel you.
I get better sleep now that school's out and I don't have to wake people up in the morning and I can just sleep till I feel like it. And
What grade are your kids in? What's the age span?
they are 6 to 16. So starting next year, big celebration. My youngest will be in all day school for the first time. So,
That is huge.
yeah, yeah, so huge. So I am now at that point where I'm beyond the I'm just mommy kind of phase, where you feel like you're actually getting back into or figuring out who you really are to begin with because you're not just mommy anymore.
Right.
And
And you have a 10-year span from your oldest to youngest.
yeah, and then I also have a stepdaughter who's 23. She was 6 years old when my husband and I got married, and she has a little guy that just turned 2.
Oh,
So I'm
oh,
technically a grandma. It's a little crazy.
that is
Yeah.
exciting.
So like
Oh,
it's okay that I
baby.
have gray hair now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we just
That
had his
is
birthday
really,
party for
wow.
him
Yeah.
yesterday.
I mean, I remember when I got my time back a little bit. Like my kids are 5 years apart from Anthony to Rocco.
Hmm.
So, you know, I guess when I started this 3 years ago, Rocco was 13 or 12, I guess technically 12 or 13 when I first started. So my kids were older even when I started. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's even trickier when they kids need you a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I look at young moms who do it now and who are juggling so much, and I admire them quite a bit. And then I see the people who've been full time and like really full speed ahead who are just now having babies, and I wonder how it will impact their business. It's kind of exciting to see them getting like little baby clothes, and it's just fun to
Yes.
see people entering that phase too. It's nice. All phases have their pros and cons.
Yeah, there's a girl that I watched at first when before I started doing reselling. I actually did I made and sold hand painted wood signs on Etsy when I lived
Oh
in
wow.
Texas. And I would like cut the wood and sand it and stain it, all this stuff in our garage. It was a mess. And so I
That's so
would watch
creative.
other people that would create stuff. And there's this girl on YouTube, not as much on YouTube anymore, but she's on Instagram, and it's called Mane Message. Mane is in like lion's mane, and she
Yeah.
does all of these really cute like hair barrettes and clips and scrunchies and like headbands, and they're just gorgeous. Yeah,
Huge.
they're absolutely gorgeous. So definitely check her out if you get a chance because yeah, gorgeous
What's the
stuff.
name? Main what?
Mane Message.
Main message.
Yeah,
Fun.
Mane. And while I was watching her, like she got married, and then a while later she was pregnant, and then she had her baby girl, and oh my gosh, she's adorable. And she like lets
Mm,
her model her little headbands, and oh yeah.
so cute. It is fun to watch, channels grow and then
Yeah,
see families change and how the dynamic shifts a little bit.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, what would you say? Just another quick question: is your favorite brand not like necessarily to like source or like has a higher resale value? Just ones you get excited about seeing.
That's a very good question. I've been down like a luxury handbag rabbit hole lately,
Mm,
and I've been, so I don't know. I've been into some vintage Coach bags. I feel like Coach is making a bit of a comeback. I wouldn't say it's. I don't get super excited though when I find it. I'm trying to. That's just been like on my mind lately. I think sometimes I get. This is probably not the answer you're looking for, but I feel like I get mostly excited about brands that I didn't know that I do a little quick research on and find that they're kind of golden. There was this one brand, Baa, I believe. And it was just a cardigan sweater that I found. It was a wool sweater made in Spain, to get back to the point you made about like knowing quality,
yeah.
fabric. So I didn't know the brand or anything. And I looked it up, and it was this crazy bolo brand. And it sold for like $210
Wow.
in like 4 or 5 days. And people were messaging me, and it had an insane amount of likes. And here I am, somebody who's been doing this for a living for 3 years. I had never heard of this brand. And then I listed it, and it was like, just, fireworks went off on my page for it. So I get really excited about things like that. Gosh, let me think. I was excited about the Reformation jeans, but I've been hot and cold with Reformation. Do you have any luck with the brand?
I don't think I've ever found it here. There's different kinds of brands, I think, um, around our area. I do, like, I found Johnny Was a few times at the bins, and that was just
Johnny Was is
super
still
lucky.
very exciting to find. I
Yeah, like
love
that
finding
fanny
Johnny
pack
Was.
you had, I was like drooling over that one.
Wasn't that so beautiful,
I
man?
mean,
And I paid $30 for it on the Vineyard, and I knew I would get my money back. But when I looked at the comps, they were even better. I think I ended up selling it for $110.
yeah.
Um, and it was so pretty. Yeah, Johnny is a big one. I mean, I still get excited if I find like a really good Patagonia, like a pullover. I found a Patagonia last week, and they're not even that. I feel like they've cooled off so much, but I still get excited for that. Or I don't know. What is your brand? You tell me your brand, and I'm going to think more.
I think it's, I mean, my favorite as far as like stuff I would wear is probably the Johnny Was. Like I found a one of their side off brands, Bia, and
Yep.
it was a like 3/4 length cardigan, but it was like very thin, gauzy kind of material. And then it
Mm.
was hooded, and it was like this medium gray kind of color, and it had the embroidery all over it, but it was cross stitched.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it wasn't like normal embroidery.
Happening.
I'd never seen another one like it, but there was a whole bunch of them online, and I got it at the bins.
Wow.
And I was like, well, this looks an awful lot like Johnny Was kind of stuff. And it wasn't until I looked it up when I was there, and my heart just about like dropped into my feet.
That is the
And
best.
I mean, it took a few weeks, but it still ended up selling for like $210. So,
Wow.
and it was pretty
Wow.
lightweight, so it probably cost me like $2. Yeah.
That's the thrill of it. I mean, you get one of
Yes.
those, and it just kind of carries you. And then you get all your little 20, 30, $40. I mean, $40 is still pretty exciting, but you know what I mean? I feel like you get those one-offs that are just super exciting.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, the other one that I constantly look for, I'm always on the lookout for the ones that have embroidery like popping out of the bin and stuff. Found Johnny Was like the first time because I kind of familiarized myself with how it looked, and I saw something with embroidery peeking out with like this much in a bin, and I was like, beeline,
that was
like
enough. Yeah.
3 bins over and yanked it out, and sure enough, it was Johnny Was. But
Wow.
the other one that I found, and this one sold overnight, was Aviator Nation. And that's the only time I've ever seen it. And it was just a sweatshirt. Everybody else was just kind of looking past it. And because it just looked like it was worn out, but it was distressed. So it
Yes.
wasn't worn, it was distressed on purpose. And it sold like $135 overnight. And
And
yeah.
did it have like the tag hanging from it? Or those are the jackets. I think the Aviator jackets have like the hang tag. Because I've had an Aviator Nation jacket, but they have these like kind of a funky tag that hangs from it. And mine was missing that. So mine sat for a little bit longer. But I have friends who have sold like the sweatpants overnight and the
Hmm.
sweatshirts. I just found a brand when I was shopping in Brooklyn. It was at a Plato's Closet. And the kid I was shopping with, Eddie, who you may have seen in some of my videos before, he's like, this sweatshirt looks really nice. And the brand was called Mad Happy, and I've never heard of it before. And they sell primarily sweatshirts. And it was just like almost reminded me of like the reverse weave champion sweatshirts, that
Hmm.
really heavy cotton quality. And it had like this stitching. It has like just like a little bit of stitching around the hood and in like random places. And it's that Pima cotton, really nice. And
Whoa.
anyways, it just says Mad Happy, and it sold for $75 in like 3 days. I listed it for 120 or something like that, but it had a little hole near the pocket. it had like it wasn't in the best condition and it sold for $75, but a lot of the comps were like 100, 110. And I'd never heard of it before. I think I paid 18 at Plato's Closet for it. So that was
Yeah.
just a quick flip with a brand that I had never heard of before. Yeah, I'm still waiting to find like the Chanel boy bag out shopping someplace. That would be really exciting for me.
I did notice when I learned about shopgoodwill.com, because I knew a little bit about it before, but they have a back space in the back of the bins here that I didn't know that
Yeah.
they did shopgoodwill.com there. And
Oh, wow.
so when I looked it up online and I realized that when you're clicking on an item, when you click on it further and it shows all the different information, it shows the Goodwill area it came from.
Oh,
And
interesting.
when I saw like a whole bunch of like Prada men's shoes and Fendi and just tons of stuff like that, it all said Goodwill of Central Texas. And so I was like, well, that's good to know because we've been kind of playing with the idea of moving back because it's so much cheaper to get a home in Texas than where we are. You could get like, you know, the same house for like half, literally half the price
Wow.
of you
Wow.
can here. I mean, it's
How long have you been in your area?
um we've been here for a year and a half.
Okay.
So, and we did live near Central Texas, about a 45-minute drive from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that just kind of cemented the whole idea that, you know, that would be a good place to source because I hadn't been doing it for more than like 3 months when we moved here. And so, because I was going to a little tiny thrift shop where all the clothes that they had there was stuff that they had gotten from, um, oh, what do you call it? Storage units. The guy bought storage
Oh,
units and sold stuff.
interesting.
And they put all of their clothing and stuff like that in there. And then once a month, they had these massive pallet boxes in the back room, and you could fill a bag for $1, like a
Wow.
garbage bag.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was when like the 80s like grandma sweaters and stuff were really popular, and so I found some from there and I can't remember the brand right now, but it was one from like Norway or something, and it had like the little
DL
pewter
of Norway.
clasps. I think so. And
It's a big one.
it literally cost me 10 cents and I sold it for like $40, and
Wow.
the second I got that sale, it was like, that's it, I'm doing this.
That is, yeah, it's so funny. Like when you remember the moment that you get hooked, right? Like for
Yeah.
me, I found a pair of Burberry clogs at a Savers for $5, and
Wow.
I think they sold for like 39 or 40. Like I clearly underpriced them, but they sold so fast because I priced them too low. But I just remember the feeling like this is the greatest thing ever. Like I want to just keep doing this. It really is such a rush every time you get a sale. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, even if I ever like just downscale it all from, you know, if I finish my degree and decide to get like a normal job,
Mhm.
even though this is better than that, I think I'll still do this, even if it's just, you know, part time here and there and stuff, because I just enjoy it.
Yeah, every time you can go someplace and just see an item that you can flip, it's kind of exciting. I just sent one of my second box into FBA for Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I've been approved for Amazon for a few months, and I've just been paralyzed by the whole process. I've been totally overwhelmed by it. I sent in my first box that my husband literally like went through the motions and actually like did the computer stuff for me because I was so overwhelmed. And it was just stuff that I had purchased from a wholesaler in order to get ungated in a category. Like there's so much to think about, and I was overwhelmed by everything. And then I spoke to someone who was like, stick to what you know. You can sell a lot of clothes without needing like clearance from Amazon.
Yeah.
So somebody I talked to said that she just started with bras. Somebody else started with socks. So I went to Burlington, and Burlington Coat Factory used to be called, and picked up some stuff. But anyways, I finally put together my second box, and Amazon just got it. And I opened up my app today, and 4 items sold on Amazon
Wow.
that just got listed. And they're not big profit at all.
But
But
it's
it's
still
just
exciting.
amazing. It's that feeling again, like, oh my gosh, this actually works. Like I've been
Yeah.
so afraid of this for so long. And even though the profit's not huge, I didn't really do a lot of work. Like I don't have to deal with returns. I mean, if they return it, it comes off of my profit. But like I was just really excited about it. And it was enough to give me the confidence. And then I went online today and I did a little more shopping. Like I feel like no matter where you are, like you said, if you got a different job and decided to do this in a smaller capacity, there's so many avenues you can go. And even if you're not out thrifting 3-4 times a week, but you enjoy it, you'll never lose your eye for it,
Yeah.
And so I feel like you could continue to do it as long as you want, as long as there are things to buy that you can flip.
And you can never know everything. That's what's so fun about it, is that you will
Exactly.
always find a different brand that you've never heard of before and get excited all over again because it sells for a high amount. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's what's crazy to me is how fast things move. Like I don't feel like I've been doing this for a very long time. And 3 years is a good amount of time, but it's not like a career, like, oh, I've been teaching for 20 years or something like that. It's not like that. But I can't believe how much things have changed in the 3 years that I've been doing this. Styles, trends within the reselling community, all the cross posting, that's all the buzz right now. Like, where was cross posting a year and a half ago? Like, not many
Yeah.
people really talked about it. And now you can't have a conversation without addressing it. So it's really interesting. And all of the platforms that are now emerging, like, whatever it is, I don't need to name names, but that help you with your business, whether it's listing or enhancing your photos or giving you stats on your sales. Like, it's crazy how much it's changed, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. Well, do you have to get going at all? I
Well,
don't
I
want to
should
keep you.
probably get going now. I actually have another Zoom call at 6:30, and
Oh,
then our
really?
Patreon group for Thrifters Villa. We have a Zoom chat once a month, and that's tonight at 8. So I should probably
Awesome.
take a little time to say goodbye to my son and, yeah,
Yeah.
have a little dinner before my next Zoom. But it was really great chatting with
Yeah,
you.
it's great chatting with you too. Hopefully, you get to spend some good time with him. I'm like super nervous for when that happens with my oldest. It's like in the back of my mind constantly, and he's only like 16 and a half. So, yeah.
It happens fast, man. It
Yes.
really does. And I feel like for the first one, I always feel like they're like in the fishbowl because they're the oldest. So they're like our little guinea pig and they go through it all for the first time. And my oldest son tends to get pretty stressed about stuff, but I always commend him because I said, I feel like you have the stress, but you still kind of go for things, he's moving 9 hours away from home for his first job, and proud of him for that. And I'm a little nervous for him, but he's going to do well. He's got a lot of friends from Penn State who live in Pittsburgh who have just graduated, so I know he'll have a good support system. And my daughter will just be not too far away at Penn State, so it's exciting. I'll miss him, but he's ready.
That's awesome.
You'll be happy when they're happy.
Yes. That's what I'm worried about, is the negative stuff. Not worried about the happy stuff.
That's true.
So,
That's true. You got to take it all in, right? All the good
yeah.
with the bad. But, well, thank you so much. I'm glad we figured out how to record this. I hope it all
Yeah.
went well.
Me too.
You'll be
Thank you
calling
for
me back.
helping
We'll
me.
do it again.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Karen.